We've all seen the news of the recent chemical attack in Syria, followed by the United States bombing Syria. But here's the thing, this makes no goddamn sense. And you know it's a conspiracy when it makes no goddamn sense. For example, why would Assad do this on the eve of peace talks? While he is winning the war, why would he gas his own people, civilians? Not even the rebels fighting him, just randomly gas civilians. Does that make any sense to you? Now they tried to pass this same story back in 2013, but it was found out by the United Nations, MIT, and other credible organizations that the gas attack in 2013 was done by the rebels, CIA-funded rebels. So why would Assad do this? This is WMDs all over again. And just the other day, Bolivia gave an amazing speech at the UN about this. Now here's my take on what's going on. A lot of people are making multiple claims, but the obvious conclusion of what's going on is this was likely done as a false flag to get the United States into another war. Who did it? No one knows. Why did they do it? No one knows. That's all assumptions at this point. We may assume it was done by the CIA to get America into another war. We may assume it was done by the Pentagon on the behalf of defense contractors to get America into another war so they can sell weapons. We can assume it was done by Trump, that Trump ordered it specifically as a way to distract from the ongoing Russian investigations. But all of this is irrelevant because it happened. A gas attack happened in Syria. Assad was accused of doing it, and America launched 59 America launched 59 missiles at Syria. Luckily, not nuclear missiles. But it keeps getting worse. Because recently, Trump ordered the US military to the Korean Peninsula, escalating the situation there. And on the same day that Trump met with the Chinese president, North Korea launched a missile that fell into the sea off of the coast of Japan. So you're seeing where all of this is going. Syria, you're seeing, we still have a war in Ukraine. And now we have Trump heading to the Korean Peninsula, and he already said that he would go to war there. And if he goes to war in the Korean Peninsula, then it will go nuclear very quickly. If the US invades North Korea, there is no way I see World War III not starting over this. And here's why. North Korea has nuclear weapons. North Korea is bordering China. If America invades North Korea, then basically the news America is giving to the rest of the world is, no matter if you have nuclear weapons, we will invade you. That basically means no country is safe. So all of the years of diplomacy and peace and everything, trying to avoid war and trying to avoid conflict, basically means nothing if America invades. And it would force Russia and China to respond because they have nukes. And if they don't respond, then what does that mean? America can invade them regardless if they have nuclear weapons. Now, if Trump invades North Korea, then South Korea and maybe Japan and a few other nearby nations, including China, may suffer badly. Most likely, definitely South Korea. North Korea would likely drop a few nukes on South Korea, killing millions of people. They might be able to reach Japan, again killing millions of people, and knocking down other nearby countries. So yeah, North Korea is a major hotspot and we can't afford it to go nuclear. But then we have someone like Trump who simply does not care about diplomacy. and this may likely happen. So everyone hold on to your seatbelts real tight because it's about to get hot. Back to Syria. If anyone believes Assad had any reason to do that, then you're basically insane. The only people cheering on the missile strikes in Syria are ISIS, Hillary Clinton, all of the neoliberals, all of the neoconservatives, people like John McCain, although we have a few sane people like Ron Paul who are against it, thankfully, because of his libertarian views. And we have a few smart people. Shockingly, Paul Joseph Watson came out against Trump. Isn't that insane? It is an unholy alliance when me and Paul Joseph Watson agrees on something. When the left and Paul Joseph Watson agrees on anything. Same thing with Sargon of Akkad. I've been trying to reach out to him about this topic. This is one thing that, and I don't want to sound cheeky or cheesy, this is one thing that all sides of the political spectrum, outside of the establishment groups, can agree on, that taking out Assad is a bad idea. He's a secular government and he's maintaining stability in the region, and I don't believe any of the propaganda people have against him. Any of the propaganda the West has, I don't believe anything the West says or the West or Western media or any of those stuff there, because they're all lying. They've lied about so many countries and so many leaders that I don't believe anything they say. This guy was elected. He got more than 77% of the vote. Meanwhile, Trump got 33% of the vote in his own country. America and the entire Western world has been going steadily right-wing, steadily authoritarian over the years, while other countries have been growing steadily more liberal. So yeah, if Trump can make Paul Joseph Watson split away from him and come to his senses, then I kind of have to give him a props for that. But unfortunately, children died in that strike. And America continues to bomb countries and wonder, why do they hate them? If I was someone in the Middle East, I would hate America's guts. So let's just watch the video Paul Joseph Watson made.
It's not World War III over Syria.
Well, half of you are going to absolutely hate me, whatever I say, so here goes. But for a start, I saw this coming. A month ago, I tweeted this. If there's one area Trump will fuck up, it will be in foreign policy. Half of his advisors are CFR globalists. That swamp was not drained. So here's a list of people and entities who support Trump's airstrike on Syria. Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer, Lindsey Graham, John McCain, Nancy Pelosi, Angela Merkel, the mainstream media.
They are beautiful pictures.
Neocons, and ISIS. You have to admit that's not great company to keep. And you can argue, as people have, that this is 4D chess, that Trump is engaging in a show of strength to humiliate Obama over his red line and dismantle claims that he's conspiring with the Russians. But those same Russia-obsessive people are now attacking Trump because he gave Putin an hour's advance warning. You're never gonna please these people, so why pander to them? But beyond the theories, here's the reality. That airbase that Trump just bombed was protecting a nearby Christian town from being overrun by jihadists. The predominantly Christian city of Mardeh in northern Hama has been under attack by rebels every day. Crippling the Syrian army in that region has now made it all but inevitable that that town will be overrun and occupied by jihadist rebels. The airstrike directly helped jihadist rebels and put Christians at risk. Now, to be clear, the chemical weapons attack was infinitely worse than Trump's airstrike in terms of human tragedy. This was a horrific event. Children died, and we're not disregarding the scale of the horror by questioning who was responsible. Killing children is dreadful, but no one seemed to care when children were killed during a US military raid in Yemen. But we've just been told to swallow the Assad did it explanation provided by the White Helmets, an organisation many have accused of having direct ties with the rebels, with no impartial investigation whatsoever, despite the fact that we know rebels possess chemical weapons, and we know they were almost certainly behind the 2013 chemical weapons attack in Ghouta, despite the fact that Assad and Syria supposedly gave up their chemical weapons. And why would Assad launch a completely self-defeating chemical weapons attack less than a week after Rex Tillerson had said that regime change was no longer on the agenda.
I think the status and the longer term status of President Assad will be decided by the Syrian people.
Why would Assad infuriate the world by gassing women and children when ISIS are on the run and on the verge of being defeated? It makes absolutely no sense. But now T-Rex says that regime change is back on the table.
The process by which Assad would leave is something that I think requires an international community effort, both to first defeat ISIS within Syria, to stabilize the Syrian country, to avoid further civil war, and then to work collectively with our partners around the world through a political process that would lead to Assad leaving.
So will you and President Trump organize an international coalition to remove Assad?
Those steps are underway.
Okay, so defeat ISIS and then topple Assad, so that ISIS can then come back and take over the country. Great idea! Here's what can't be denied. Destabilizing secular regimes in the Middle East, whatever the reason given, has always proven disastrous. Iraq, Libya, Syria. It led to hundreds of thousands of dead and displaced people. Dead US troops, more global terrorism, a refugee crisis, the rise of ISIS. And those of you who think this is a one-off limited strike are being incredibly naive. Tillerson said it's about regime change, and given what happened last night, you can bet they're going to follow through on their word. Regime change means more death, more chaos, a vacuum filled by jihadists, more terrorism, more refugees. We've been down this road before. This is what Trump said in 2013. Don't attack Syria, an attack that will bring nothing but trouble for the US focus on making our country strong and great again. So what happened to that? When did it stop being about America first? Crooked Hillary Clinton's foreign interventions unleashed ISIS in Syria, Iraq and Libya. She is reckless and dangerous. And this intervention helps ISIS. It helps the jihadist rebels. It helps Al-Qaeda. They're all out celebrating it. Hillary Clinton called for it in the first place. Look, this is what Trump campaigned against. This is one of the main reasons why you voted for him. To stop the US becoming entangled in Middle Eastern quagmires. And I know there's a huge portion of you out there who will completely disagree with me and who will support Trump whatever he does. But I think there's a real chance that Trump has been surrounded and manipulated by neocons and the deep state. I mean, just look at his foreign policy advisors. Half of them, at least half of them, are Council on Foreign Relations members. They're globalists. But even so, I still think there's time to reach out to Trump and let him know that he's following a disastrous course. If Trump vehemently indicates that he won't bow to pressure to impose no-fly zones and initiate regime change, then that will be a positive development. So let's keep the dialogue open. Let's not jump down each other's throats. And let's try to avoid another catastrophe in the Middle East. Click the link below to subscribe to the channel, and for more breaking news go to Infowars.com. The Making of the President 2016, how Donald Trump orchestrated a revolution. This is the untold story of how Trump defied all the odds to win the presidency. From former Trump confidant Roger Stone, the inside scoop of how Trump rocked the establishment. Get your signed copy of The Making of the President right now at InfoWarsStore.com.
So yes, he went on to talk crap about Muslims and make it a whole Christian thing as a way to dog whistle to his supporters. But I'll give the guy a little break. Because at least he came out against Trump, and stopping a major war is our main concern right about now. And Trump is showing that he wants to start a major war. So not all people wondering, well, if America doesn't intervene, what can America do? Well, one thing America can do is, and the rest of the world for that fact, to solve all of these ongoing wars, and there's an ongoing genocide in Myanmar right now. The way that the whole world can solve all of these wars and the genocides and whatnot that's going on right now, all of the chaos, there's only one way to do it. That is the most altruistic way, that's the least corrupt way. is through the United Nations.
Señora Presidenta, muchas gracias por darme la
Madam
palabra.
President, thank you for giving me the
También
floor,
por haber hecho
and
la
also
convocatoria
for
esta
having
sesión pública
convening this
abierta del
open
Consejo.
meeting of
Es
the Security
imprescindible
Council.
que no solamente los
It's
miembros de nuestra
vital that not
organización,
only the members of our
sino el
organization,
mundo entero
but also the
vea
whole
que
world
las posiciones de
should
los miembros del
see
Consejo de
that the
Seguridad
positions of
con
the
absoluta
members of the Security Council in a
en el marco
totally
de lo sucedido
transparent
en los
way,
últimos días
given what has taken
en
over
Siria.
recent days in Syria.
Bolivia ha solicitado la
Bolivia has
convocatoria
called for
de esta
the
reunión
convening of this meeting.
Preocupada
We are concerned
por los sucesos que se han
at what
registrado en
has
las
taken
últimas horas.
place over recent hours.
Mientras el Consejo de Seguridad
While the Security Council
debatía propuestas
was debating proposals
sobre cuál iba a ser el
on
mecanismo
what would be
de investigación
the
de los horribles
investigation
ataques
mechanism
con armas
for the
químicas
horrendous
de los que ha
chemical
sido
attacks which have
testigo la humanidad.
been witnessed
Mientras
by all
discutíamos
mankind, while we were
las palabras que se iban a
discussing
utilizar
the
en una resolución
words which
que
could
debía
be
ser
used in
tratada
a
por este Consejo,
resolution
mientras
considered by this
los
council,
miembros
and
permanentes y los
while the
miembros no
permanent and
permanentes
non-permanent members
planteábamos
put
propuestas
forward
para el texto de esa
proposals for
resolución,
the text of such a
Estados
resolution,
Unidos
the United
preparaba a
States
su
was
vez
preparing
y ejecutaba
once again
un
and
ataque
carried out
unilateral.
a unilateral attack.
Los ataques con misiles,
The missile attacks,
por supuesto, son una
of
acción
course,
unilateral
is a
y
unilateral
representan
action.
una grave
They
amenaza a la paz y
represent a
seguridad
serious threat to
internacionales.
international peace and
¿Por qué?
security.
Porque a lo largo de los
Why?
últimos 70
Because
años,
over the last 70
la humanidad ha
years,
construido una
mankind has
estructura
been
no
establishing,
solamente
building a
física,
structure, not just
no
a
solamente
physical
institucional,
structure, not just an
sino además una
institutional
estructura
structure,
legal.
but also
Ha
a
construido
legal structure. They have
instrumentos de derecho
established
internacional
instruments
para
of
evitar
international
justamente
law to
que los más
precisely
poderosos
prevent a
ataquen
situation in which
con
the most
impunidad
powerful
a los más débiles,
attack the weakest
para
with
garantizar un
impunity, and
equilibrio
to ensure
en el
a
mundo
balance
y evitar,
in the
por
world,
supuesto,
and of
que hayan
course to avoid
gravísimas violaciones
serious
a
violations
la paz y seguridad
of
internacional.
international peace and security.
Creemos que es deber de este
We
Consejo,
believe it
pero
to
no
be the
solamente del
duty of this
Consejo,
Security Council, but not just of the
de la
Security
Organización de
Council,
Naciones
of
Unidas
the
en todos
United
sus órganos,
Nations organizations
defender
in all
al
its bodies,
multilateralismo.
to defend
Estamos aquí para
multilateralism.
defender
We
al
are here to
multilateralismo.
defend
Hemos acordado
multilateralism.
que esta
We have
carta, la Carta de
agreed that
Naciones
this
Unidas,
charter,
tiene
the
que ser
United Nations
respetada.
Charter, must be respected.
Y esta carta
And this
prohíbe las
charter
acciones unilaterales.
prohibits unilateral actions.
Toda acción debe ser autorizada
Any
por el
action
Consejo
must
de
be
Seguridad
authorized
de
by the
acuerdo a la
Security
Carta de las Naciones Unidas. Me voy a
Council
permitir
in
leer un
accordance with
par
the Charter.
de artículos
Allow
para
me to
que todos
read
podamos
a
refrescar un
couple
poco la
of,
memoria.
articles
El artículo
so that we
24
can remember
de esta
this.
carta dice lo siguiente:
Chapter 24
a fin de asegurar
says
acción
that
rápida y
in
eficaz por
order
parte de
to
las
ensure
Naciones
prompt and
Unidas,
effective action by the
sus
United
miembros
Nations, its
confieren al
members confer
Consejo de
on
Seguridad
the Security
la
Council
responsabilidad primordial
primary
de mantener la paz
responsibility for
y
the
la seguridad
maintenance of international
internacionales
peace and
y
security,
reconocen que el
and
Consejo de Seguridad
agree
actúa
that in
a
carrying
nombre
out
de
its
ellos al
duties
desempeñar las
under this
funciones que le impone
responsibility, the
aquella
Security Council
responsabilidad.
acts on their
Este
behalf.
Consejo no son
This
solamente los
Security
15 miembros que
Council,
estamos
not just the
sentados
15
en esta
members
mesa.
who are seated at this
Nosotros
table.
representamos
We
a los
represent
193 estados
the
de esta organización
193
y
member
a
states
través
of
de
this
ellos a los pueblos
organization,
del
and
mundo.
through them we
Y hemos
represent the people of the
acordado
world.
que las
And we
acciones
have agreed
unilaterales
that unilateral
violan el derecho
actions
internacional.
violate international law.
Mientras ayer
Now,
discutíamos
as we were
los
discussing
proyectos de
yesterday,
resolución,
draft resolutions,
mientras nos
while
esforzábamos
we were striving
para plantear alternativas y llegar a un
come up
consenso y
with
mostrar unidad
alternatives
en el
and come
Consejo
up
de
with
Seguridad,
consensus in the
Estados
Security
Unidos
Council, the
no
United
solamente
States
ataca
not only
unilateralmente,
has unilaterally
sino que cuando
attacked,
todos
but
estábamos aquí
while
discutiendo
we were just
y
discussing
exigiendo la
here and
necesidad de una
demanding
investigación
the need for an
independiente,
independent
imparcial,
investigation,
completa
an
y concluyente de
impartial
esos ataques,
investigation,
Estados Unidos
complete
se
investigation
convierte
into these
en el
attacks, the United
investigador,
States has become
se
that
convierte en el fiscal,
investigator, has
se
become
convierte
the
en el juez
prosecutor,
y se
has
convierte en
become
el
the
verdugo.
judge, has become the jury.
¿Dónde está la investigación
So,
que
where
permite
is the
determinar
investigation which would
objetivamente
allow us to
quién es el
establish in an
responsable de esos
objective manner
ataques?
who is responsible for the
Esa es una
attacks?
violación gravísima,
This is a extremely, extremely
al derecho
serious
internacional.
violation of international law.
No es la primera vez que
This
sucede
is not
esto.
the first time that this has happened.
A lo largo de la historia,
Throughout history,
podemos recordar muchos
we can
episodios en
remember
los que varias
many
potencias, no
episodes
solo
in which
Estados
various
Unidos,
powers,
varias
not just the
potencias,
United States,
han
various
actuado unilateralmente
powers have
violando
acted
la Carta de las Naciones
unilaterally and
Unidas.
violated
Pero
the
el hecho
UN
de que pase una vez
Charter.
más no
But the fact that
significa
it's
que
happened
las
once
Naciones
again does
Unidas
not
y sus
mean that the
Estados miembros
United
tengan que
Nations and
aceptarlo.
its members must accept it.
En septiembre del año
In
2013,
September 2013,
Estados Unidos
the
también
United
amenazó
States
con
also
iniciar ataques en contra de
launched
Siria.
attacks against Syria.
Y yo recuerdo
I
lo que dijo
recall what
el
was
entonces
said
secretario
by
general
the
Ban
then
Ki-moon
Secretary
en esa
General,
oportunidad.
Mr. Ban Ki-moon.
Y
On that
permítanme
occasion,
leer
allow me
la
to
cita
read
en inglés
the
de lo
quotation
que dijo el
in
secretario
English
general.
of what the Secretary General said.
Abro comillas. The Security
I quote,
Council has primary responsibility for international peace and security. That's my appeal, that everything should be handled within the framework of the United Nations Charter. The use of force is lawful only when in exercise of self-defense in accordance with Article 51 of the United Nations Charter, and or when Security Council approves such action. Cierro comillas.
End of quote.
Fue la posición de la
This was the
Secretaría, del
position
Secretario
of
General en
the
ese
Secretary
entonces,
General, the
que
then
contribuyó
Secretary General,
a evitar
which
una acción
contributed to
unilateral
avoiding
en
unilateral
situaciones
action be
muy
taken
parecidas a las que
in
estamos
very
viviendo
similar
ahora.
situations to what we are experiencing today.
Este ataque
Now, this attack
representa
does
una
represent
amenaza
a threat
a la paz y seguridad
to
internacionales
international peace and security
porque representa una
because it
amenaza
represents
a los
a
procesos
threat to
políticos
the
de Ginebra
political
y Astana.
processes in Geneva and Astana.
Lo dijo muy bien el señor
It was said
Feldman
very
en el
well by
mensaje del
Mr.
secretario
Feldman
general,
in the
que es
Secretary General's
imprescindible
message that it
evitar
is
que haya un
vital to
escalamiento
avoid
de las
an
tensiones
escalation of
que
tension
rompan lo
which
avanzado, aunque haya sido muy
breaks
poco,
with
tanto en
the
Astana
minor
como en
the
Ginebra.
progress that has been achieved in
Y decía,
Astana in
no es la
Geneva.
primera vez que sucede
And
esto.
this is he said that this is not the first time that this has happened.
Quiero recordar
And I'd like
lo que
to
pasó en
recall
este mismo
what
consejo
happened in this
hace
very Security
algunos
Council
años,
just
para
a
ser
few years
preciso,
ago,
el
and
miércoles 5 de
specifically
febrero
on
del año
Wednesday,
2003,
the 5th of
cuando el
February
entonces secretario de
2003,
Estado de
when
los
the
Estados
then
Unidos venía a
Secretary of
esta
State of
sala
the United
a
States of America
presentarnos,
came to this room to
según sus
present
propias
to us,
palabras,
according to his own
pruebas
words,
contundentes de que existían armas de
convincing
destrucción masiva
proof that there were
en Irak.
weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Y yo creo que es imprescindible
I believe
que recordemos esas
that we
imágenes,
must absolutely remember
que recordemos que en
these
esta misma sala
pictures, and that this in this very
se nos
hall,
dijo
we were told
que habían armas de
that there
destrucción masiva en
were
Irak
weapons of mass
y que eso
destruction
motivó
in
una
Iraq,
invasión.
and this was the motivation for an
Y esa
invasion.
invasión,
And that
después de esa invasión,
invasion,
se han
after
registrado
this invasion,
1 millón de
there was
muertos
1 million
y
deaths,
se ha desatado
and
una serie de atrocidades
it
en la región.
launched a series of atrocities in
Podríamos
that
hablar
region.
de
Could
ISIS
we
sin esa
talk
invasión.
about ISIS if that invasion had not taken
Podríamos
place?
hablar de esa,
Could we be
de esa
talking
serie de
about
gravísimos
this
y horrendos
series of
ataques en distintos lugares
horrendous
del mundo
attacks in various parts of the
sin esa
world?
invasión
Had that
ilegal?
invasion, this illegal invasion, not taken place?
Creo que es imprescindible que
I believe it's
recordemos
vital for us
lo que la historia
to
nos enseña.
remember what history teaches
En esa
us.
oportunidad,
And on this
Estados
occasion,
Unidos
the United
afirmaba con
States
contundencia
did
de que tenía
affirm,
todas las pruebas para
they
demostrar
found that
que,
they had all
que
the
Irak
proof
tenía armas de
necessary to
destrucción
show
masiva.
that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction.
Nunca se encontraron,
But they were never found.
nunca se encontraron.
Never were they found.
Quiero reiterar lo que dijo
I'd like to repeat what was
el
said.
presidente Evo Morales,
President Evo
en la
Morales
mañana.
this morning,
y abro comillas,
and I quote,
pienso y siento,
I
espero
believe
no
and
estar
I feel,
equivocado,
I hope I'm not mistaken,
las armas químicas en
that
Siria
chemical weapons in
son una
Syria
excusa para una
are just
intervención
an
militar.
excuse for a military
Las
intervention.
acciones
The
unilaterales son acciones
unilateral
imperiales.
actions are
Estados Unidos no
imperialistic
le interesa el derecho
actions. The
internacional.
USA is not
Deja de
interested
lado a
in
la ONU cuando le
international law.
conviene.
They ignore it when
Los
it's
problemas
convenient to
internos de los
them.
países se deben
Internal
resolver con
problems of
diálogo, no
states
con
must be
bombardeos.
resolved
Esta
through
acción
dialogue
amenaza la
and not through
seguridad
bombings.
internacional y la
This
paz
is a threat
mundial.
to international peace and
Cierro
security.
comillas.
End of
Creo
quote.
que es importante
I believe it's
hablar del
important
doble
to
estándar
talk about the
cuando
double
se está en los salones de Naciones
when we're
Unidas
in
y
the
cuando se
United
actúa
Nations
en lo que
meeting
puede
rooms,
ser
and
considerado la
then
vida real.
when we're
Y
dealing
mis
with actual
pueblos,
real
los pueblos
lives in my
latinoamericanos
own
y
people,
caribeños han
people
sufrido a
of
lo
the
largo
Latin
de
American
la
and the
historia
Caribbean, over
esta
throughout
realidad.
history, we've lived this reality.
Nos hablan del discurso de los
We've
derechos
talked about
humanos que
all these
nosotros
words about human rights, which
cumplimos
we respect
Pero cuando el discurso de los derechos humanos no les alcanza para sus intereses, violan sistemáticamente los derechos humanos. La serie de golpes de Estado en América Latina han sido organizados, financiados por la CIA. Esa es una verdad histórica, no es retórica, no es un discurso, es una verdad. Recordemos el golpe de Estado en 1973 en contra del gobierno constitucional de Salvador Allende, financiado por la CIA. Recordemos la Escuela de las Américas, en la que se enseñaba a los soldados a torturar. Había manuales de tortura. Y eso se enseñaba a los militares latinoamericanos en la denominada Doctrina de Seguridad Nacional. Cuando interesa el discurso de derechos humanos está bien, pero cuando ya no cumple con sus intereses, ya no importa. Lo mismo pasa con la democracia. Cuando conviene a sus intereses, defensores de la democracia. Pero cuando no, financian golpes de Estado. Y lo mismo pasa lamentablemente con la Organización de Naciones Unidas y con este Consejo. Que cuando ya no cumple con sus intereses, entonces no importa el multilateralismo. Para algunas cosas que les conviene, está bien el multilateralismo. Están bien las Naciones Unidas. Pero cuando no, cuando sus intereses se contraponen, entonces no interesan ni las Naciones Unidas, ni los derechos humanos, ni la democracia. Decíamos, cuando condenábamos de manera inequívoca los ataques químicos, que el Consejo de Seguridad no debe ser usado como una caja de resonancia de la propaganda de guerra ni del intervencionismo. Que el Consejo de Seguridad no debe ser usado como un peón a sacrificar en un tablero de ajedrez, en el tablero de ajedrez de la guerra. Este Consejo, estas Naciones Unidas son al final la última esperanza que tenemos para garantizar la paz y la seguridad internacional basadas en principios, basadas en normas, basadas en un Estado de Derecho internacional. Señora Presidenta, asimismo me permito señalar que es imprescindible hacerlo así como usted ha convocado esta reunión de manera muy transparente, manifestar la preocupación de que lamentablemente existen miembros de primera y miembros de segunda en este Consejo de Seguridad. Miembros permanentes que no solamente tienen el derecho a veto, sino que controlan los procedimientos, que controlan la toma de decisiones. Y los otros 10 que estamos eventualmente y que se nos consulta o se nos convoca solamente a veces, no para aportar, sino solamente para suscribir ciertas posiciones. Este no es el multilateralismo. Bolivia desea reiterar su enérgica condena al uso de armas químicas o el uso de elementos químicos como armas por ser un hecho injustificable y criminal, independientemente de su motivación, donde quiera que sea, cuando sea y por quien quiera que sea cometido. Y reiteramos que exigimos cuando se dé uno de estos casos unas investigaciones independientes, imparciales, completas y concluyentes. Lamentablemente los ataques de ayer le han dado un golpe mortal al JIN, al mecanismo de investigaciones, a la OPAC, para que puedan llevar adelante una investigación y se sepa con exactitud qué es lo que ha sucedido hace algunos días en Irak. Reiteramos que los responsables de esos actos tienen que ser debidamente procesados y sancionados con el mayor rigor de la ley. Lo mismo con las acciones que violan el derecho internacional y ponen en peligro la seguridad internacional. Gracias, Presidente.
Thank you, Madam President.